What's up, folks? How's it going? I want to talk about two different news stories here real quick. Start with the first one right here from CNN. Report, consumerism must be halted to save the planet. Let's start with the title here. A great man named George Carlin once said that the planet is fine. We're fucked. And he's absolutely right. Let's get off this whole save the planet thing. The planet is not going anywhere. We're not going to kill everything on it, because if we did, we'd be dead anyway. The planet is fine. Okay? Consumerism maybe needs to be halted to save us. Okay? But the planet's fine. Alright, let's drop our egos down a little bit here. The most we can hope to do is kill ourselves. The planet is fine. Let's look at some of the comments on this article. I mean, the whole article pretty much just says we should stop using things. We should stop buying stuff or something like that. We should, all pretend that we live in Ethiopia or something. I don't know. Apparently we're all evil for, buying things with the money we earned at work. How fucking could we buy products with our own money? Jeez, what a sick world we live in. But let's look at some of these comments. And the interesting thing about comments on CNN is that they're all monitored. So the only things that show up on CNN are things that they want people to see. I'm looking for this fucking comment. Alright, here's one. Millenniums of culture and traditions have been obliterated in many parts of the world. That was the glue that kept it all together in most underdeveloped nations. Trash consumerism and Western cultural terrorism did away with that. Now these nations are victims of the poverty of their progress and are now sitting on a large pile of Western refuse. Okay, let's start here. Millenniums of culture and traditions have been obliterated in many parts of the world. No explanation for that whatsoever. I don't know what the fuck that's supposed to mean. As if somehow that's all the Western world's fault. Look, China isn't the way it is because of what we told them to do. Okay? India isn't the way it is because of what we told them to do. These people have altered their own cultures of their own accord. So please don't put that fucking burden on the rest of us. It's not our fault. Okay? That's ridiculous. That's a lie. It's propaganda. It's ridiculous. But let's talk about these millenniums of cultural traditions that kept the world together. Let's look at some cultural traditions. Religion. I don't know. Female circumcision. That's a good one. They used to burn people at the stake. They used to do that. All the the human sacrifices and stuff, all these millenniums of cultural traditions that glue the hell of the world together. Listen, if a lot of these primitive ass fucking barbaric, sorry if you don't like that, barbaric traditions are what kept parts of these worlds together, maybe they don't need to be together, motherfucker. Maybe that's if they can't do any better, that's too fucking bad. Okay? Don't blame the Western world for destroying people's culture. That's outrageous. You can blame the Western world for destroying certain people's cultures. You could certainly blame the United States for destroying the Native Americans' cultures, right? You could blame the Spanish for destroying the cultures of the Aztecs and whatever. That's fine. But don't lay the burden of everybody's fuck-ups on us. Okay? These things that go on in the world, these people in all these shithole countries that are killing each other all the time, they're doing this of their own accord. Okay, believe it or not. Nobody's whispering in their ear and telling them to do it from on high. They're doing it on their own. People all over the world are perfectly capable of fucking up their own lives without our help. Okay? Western cultural terrorism. What the fuck does that even mean? Never been explained. Never been explained to me. It's not like anybody has ever gone into a Muslim's house and tied them to a chair and forced them to watch MTV, right? Nobody's ever done that, okay? If they don't want to purchase our products or read our books or listen to our music or watch our television, they don't have to, Nobody's making them do that. They can live in their fucking desert with all their, pretend that they lived 500 years ago if they want to. No one is stopping them from doing that. Okay? No one's forcing them to purchase cars. Okay? No one's doing any of that. So go fuck yourself. Anybody that actually believes that in Western cultural terrorism is either stupid or they're a Muslim apologist, because usually that's a term that's used to describe what we've done to the Muslim world. So they're either stupid or a Muslim apologist. And I don't want to hear from either of these people. So you can go fuck yourself. Let's see here. It's easy to forget that this coin has two sides. Consumption drives production, and production drives employment. Absolutely. And when these greedy people in the West slow down their consumption, people all over the world lose their jobs. Which is true. But let's look at greedy people in the West. What? I'm sorry, what exactly about my life is greedy? Okay? I've never gone to Ethiopia and taken somebody's stuff. Right? I don't go down to Mexico and take somebody's TV. I go out with my money that I earned, and I go to a store and purchase a product and bring it home. If that's greedy, you can go fuck yourself. Because if you really believe that, like, if all these products and services were available to everyone else, that they wouldn't get it, of course they would. Of course they would. But you've seen that with China. We see that with Japan. Japan is one of the biggest consumers on the planet. They're not a Western country. Okay? They did this shit all of their own accord. Alright? People want products. People want to live a more comfortable life. If you can't handle it, that's too fucking bad. I don't really know what other option there is here. We can either continue the way we are and help promote, economic growth in other countries, or I guess we can do what these people want us to do, and we can all just stop buying stuff, and we can all live like we live in a third world country. That sounds great, right? No. Okay, go fuck yourself. And the fact that people would post something like this, obviously you have a computer, right? Obviously you have internet. These things are not necessary, right? I guess you're a greedy Westerner, or you're a greedy whatever. How about you go fuck yourself? Okay, suck my cock. Thank you. Let's go to our second news story here. Torture sentence increase urged. This is a story straight out of England, where a pair of boys who at the time were 10 and 11 apparently sexually assaulted and just tortured these two other kids who were aged 9 and 11. Apparently they lured these kids out to some field and beat the shit out of them. We'll get to that in a minute. But they talk about how the judge was telling the boys about how disgusting their act was, and talking about how they were using sexual humiliation and pain to bring themselves pleasure. And I'm thinking to myself, who the fuck are you talking to? Right? These boys, first of all, these boys are out of their fucking mind. No sane 10 or 11-year-old sexually assaults and tortures another little kid. Okay? It doesn't happen. So these boys are obviously out of their fucking mind. Even if they weren't, they're not going to understand what the fuck you're talking about. That concept is way above a 10 or 11-year-old, okay? Way above their fucking head. And since we know, just by their actions, that these boys are sick, I mean, trying to explain to them what they've done is like trying to explain to Jeffrey Dahmer or Ted Bundy that what they did was wrong. You can't, because they don't understand wrong, okay? They're not evil, okay? They don't understand what evil means. They don't understand the difference between nice and mean, between good and bad, between pain and no pain. They don't understand that. That's why they're sick. Okay? They cannot make a connection between how their actions cause pain to others. That whole understanding is missing from their minds. That's why they're sick. Okay? You cannot explain to them what they've done wrong. Jeffrey Dahmer claimed in some of the interviews that he understand what he did. Trust me, he didn't. Motherfucker was acting. Motherfucker out of his mind. Okay? These kids don't know what they did. Now, they've been given like 5 years. They've been detained indefinitely with a minimum term of 5 years. I didn't know you could do that. Okay? But either way, that's what's happening, and people want them to be gone in for 10 years or whatever. But the thing that bothers me is that nowhere in here do we talk about how these kids are obviously fucking crazy. It's not even mentioned, right? So I really hope they aren't sending these kids to prison. What they need to do is send these kids to a mental institution where they can be monitored for the rest of their lives, because obviously they're too sick to be allowed back into the general public. I'm not going to argue with that, okay? But that's exactly the issue here. They're sick. They're not evil. They're not criminals, okay? They didn't do this shit for profit, okay? They're sick, all right? We have to recognize that. You know, it's talking about how the parents might be charged in some way with this. And I think to a certain extent that's legitimate. But I mean, like, the mother of one of the kids that they tortured was standing up and yelling at them that they were evil and all this shit, and it says that like, the kids seem to not pay attention to this because they don't understand what you're talking about, bitch. Okay? This is another example of vengeance here. We have to make sure that when justice, when the justice system is involved, that vengeance goes out the window. Okay? That should never be a motivation for how long anyone is kept in prison or whatever. All right? I don't even think that they should allow these people, the victims' families, in the courtroom. It's none of their damn business. Okay? But this all comes from a profound misunderstanding of what the purpose of the justice system is in the first place. But that's neither here nor there. The point is that the kids don't understand that they're evil because they don't understand what evil means because they're sick. Okay? They're sick. All right? Now, it says that their parents were abusive. That probably had a lot to do with it, though I think that this sort of mental illness, this sort of profound mental illness, is something that people are usually born with. And the thing that bothers me about this is that they're talking about how these kids have gotten in trouble before this for a bunch of other crazy shit, for similar acts of violence, right? I mean, outrageous acts of violence, not just the kind of shit that 10 or 11-year-olds do at school, you know, they get into a fight. I mean, serious, concerning acts of violence, right? Nothing was done. There's no psychological evaluation done. These kids are not sent someplace where they can get help. They're punished. Okay? The signs are all there, motherfucker. Open your goddamn eyes. This is your fault. Your fault. Okay? These kids are like a rabid dog. Okay? If you have a dog who is rabid and you let it outside and it bites someone, okay, it's not the dog's fault. It's your fucking fault, man. I don't know. I'll talk to you folks